So everybody, we are into week 2 of 12 weeks to mastery. So glad everybody is here, leaning in and learning like crazy. We're going to continue with the mindset portion of it. Just to let you know, next week we start getting into a lot of math. So for those of you who love math, this will be geek out time for you next week. For those of you who hate math, I'm sorry. And you'll live through it. I promise. It's all good. So make it through. Okay, so here we go. First of all, has anyone ever heard of the 6 personal perspectives? Who's heard of the 6 personal perspectives? Give me a hand up. Okay. How many of you have not heard of 6 personal perspectives? Okay, this is something new. So Gary came up with this quite a few years ago. And in every single class that he taught for decades, he always started out with this because it's one of the best ways to completely frame your conversation. So the 6 personal perspectives are: 1 is commit to self-mastery, 2, commit to the 80-20 principle, 3, move from E to P, 4, make being learning-based the foundation of your action plan, 5, remove your limiting beliefs, and 6, be accountable. So let's get into those just a little bit. First of all, we have commit to self-mastery. So when we talk about mastery, there's self-mastery and then mastery. So self-mastery, when you decide that you are going to take on mastering you, when you accept this challenge, you can effectively lead yourself and direct your success. What does that mean for you? Does anybody have an example of where they feel like they have some portion of self-mastery?
Well, one thing that's important to me is the morning schedule, being able to wake up at a certain time. And once I've woken up, how I'm going to go about my day until I go prospecting. And then once I go prospecting, of course, the fortitude to keep going.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Perfect, Stan. Thanks for sharing that. Anybody else? Self-mastery. Okay, let's go to mastery then. Starts with a decision, and I love how it says this, a decision to excel at something, a decision to put the time and effort into achieving excellence and to reject mediocrity. Okay, so do me a favor, by show of hands, how many of you guys want to be mediocre at anything? Nobody here wants to be mediocre. Okay, so that means you are standing up to make a decision to excel at something. All right, so let's talk about real estate for a second. What are you choosing to excel at in real estate?
Building relationships.
Ooh, I love it. Tell us more about that, Lindsay.
Just focusing on the call isn't always about what I get from it. It's about what I can give.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. Who else?
Lately, I've been being very intentional on mastering the listing presentation. Just all my focus on that.
Nice, nice, nice. And so have you put together a great listing presentation as far as the presentation itself and then mastering giving it? Is that what you're saying? Or
Exactly. Yeah, both. Mostly the delivery and the script.
okay, fantastic, fantastic. Who else? Decision to excel at something.
I am working on excelling at being an expert at renovating ugly projects.
Oh.
So my husband is a home inspector and a contractor. So I'm really looking to create a niche for myself that is really the expert in looking at properties and making them beautiful and selling at top dollar. So that's really what I'm focusing on.
Sweet. And how do you pronounce your name? Is it Melania?
Milena.
Elena. Thank you, Milena.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I don't butcher it. So awesome. That's fantastic. We really are looking at a decision to put the time and effort into achieving excellence and to reject mediocrity. What do you think is the one thing that most of us don't want to do? on any given day? Number one thing.
Waste time.
Waste time is always a good thing. We don't want to do that. But what's the activity that most of us kind of go, I don't want to do that?
Lead generation.
Lead generation.
Call people.
Call people. Does anybody ever have a phone like mine that weighs like 572 pounds? Does everyone have that? Like, got to do this kind of thing, right? That happens, right? So it really is about making the decision and to put in the effort to master that particular thing. Only when you have attained both self-mastery and mastery can you accomplish the goals you set for yourself. Would you guys agree with that? Yeah, I think so too. Let's go into the 80-20 principle. 80-20 principle says 20% of your effort gives you 80% of your results. Okay. So when you say 20% of your job, what is in your top 20% of all the activities that you do? What is in the top 20%?
Lead generation.
Absolutely. Lead generation. What else?
Follow-up.
Follow-up, Margot. Yep. What else?
Go on appointment.
Yes, go on appointments. And one more.
Strong houses.
Nope. Actually, not in your
Negotiate.
20%. Can you believe that? One more time, Juliet.
Negotiate contracts.
Negotiate contracts. Absolutely. Those are the things that are income producing for you. Those are all the things that are income producing. If those top 20% don't happen, for example, what are some 80% examples, guys? Stuff that are in your 80%, not in your top 20%, but the rest of it.
Scheduling an inspection.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Keep going, Kate. You're on it.
Gosh, everything that you leverage that I leverage out.
Exactly.
Making a flyer, showing homes.
Uh-huh. Yep. Answering emails, returning phone calls, right? All of that nitty gritty stuff. Doing laundry. Anybody ever get caught doing that one in the middle of the day when you're at home? Okay. All those things that pull us away from our top 20%, right? So when you get there in the MREA, let's see if who gets bonus points for this. At what time must your 20% activities be finished according to the MREA? By what time of day should your top 20% be finished?
Noon.
11.
11 a.m. You got it. Everything else that happens first. It was interesting. We have an accountability group that we host on Monday mornings. And one of the people in the group, she was wonderful to share that she has so many buyers going on that she is taking care of so much stuff for them, answering emails, returning phone calls, that she hasn't had any lead generation happening. One thing she discovered was, and she actually came to understand herself, was that has got to take just as much importance as it does for having a client. Would you guys agree with that? Okay. All of those top 20% things are going to give you 80% of your results. Does anyone know what it says when we say the big rocks? Has anybody ever seen that experiment before?
It's
Who
where
has
you have
not, who has
okay.
not seen that? Okay, so let me explain it. I want you to imagine that I have a jar. Let's imagine that's a jar, okay? And I've got this wonderful bit of sand, and I pour it in. Sand reaches up to about there. Got it? Then I take some small pebbles, and I pour it in, and it reaches up to about there. And then I take a bunch of big rocks, and I pour it in, and it spills off over the top. Got it? Can everybody visualize that? All right, the big rocks are your negotiations, the big rocks are lead generation, all those things. So what if I took those big rocks and first of all, I poured them in here and they go up to about here. Then I take my little pebbles and I pour them in. What happens to the pebbles? When I pour the pebbles in, what happens with the pebbles?
They go around the
They
big
go
rock.
to the bottom.
They go around the bottom, they filter down, right? Now I take the sand and I pour it in, all of my little to-dos. What happens with that?
Fills in all the gaps.
It fills in all the gaps. So all of a sudden I'm able to fit everything in because I focused on the big rocks first. So when you hear that terminology, big rocks, that's what it means. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next one. Oh, I love this one. Moving from E to P, entrepreneurial to purposeful. How many of you guys got into real estate because you want the lifestyle, you want to be able to have the freedom, you want to be able to have the money it makes, you want to be able to control your destiny? Anybody like that? Raise your hand high if you're like that. Yep, a lot of you are, right? And you got into it because you're entrepreneurial. You've got drive, you've got enthusiasm, you have intuition, you have natural behavior, you have spontaneity. All those things that naturally come to you make you an entrepreneur. Now, we all agree, and we heard this last week, you don't know what you don't know, right? So there's going to be a point when you hit your natural level of achievement. You've got a ceiling of achievement. What happens when you hit that ceiling of achievement? A lot of times disappointment comes in. Ugh. Then you resign yourself to things. Maybe you look for greener pastures and you try again, and then you hit yourself against that natural ceiling of achievement. Challenge is that cycle will play on and on and on unless you add in basically what you're doing right now, training, coaching, and consulting. We add in something new till you break through to that and become purposeful. By the way, when you have breakthrough, here's the coolest part about it. That old ceiling becomes your new floor. That's when we do something that's coming unnaturally. These are things that you didn't know you knew, you didn't know you didn't know, and then you started knowing, and you had focus, strategic options, adding models, adding systems, adding accountability, adding technology, all the pieces that we have at KW. And here's the thing, you're going to add those things in. Are you going to reach another natural ceiling of achievement? Absolutely, right? We're going to take the next level and you're going to bang your head, and then we're going to add some new systems, tools, models, technology, or people. And then we keep breaking through and breaking through. Real estate is always a growth experience. Would you guys agree with that? Is it possible in the business of real estate just to stand still? Stan and Heather, you guys are shaking your head like crazy. Ashley, you too. Why are you shaking your head? Why is it not?
Because it's always evolving.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's always evolving. So the question is, are you always evolving? And do you have a plan for always evolving? Okay. Great job. Let's go to the next one. Okay. Making learning based the foundation of your business. So here's what we have. We have ignorance based and we have learning based. Ignorance says, anybody know people like this? They know everything. Anybody ever met someone like that? They got it all down. You ever met like an agent on the other side that they just were condescending and they knew everything and you wanted to slap them around a little bit? Ignorance based basically says, I know what I know and I'll ignore anything else. It's just knowing for knowing's sake. You ever met people, all they do is they're always in classes, but they never use what they learn in class? Okay. Trivial pursuits lead to nowhere. And I love how it says no, K-N-O-W where. Being learning based, this is where you guys get to lean in. I know what I know, and there is more to know. You would not be in this class right now if you didn't think that. Would you all agree? Absolutely. So knowing for doing sake, everything that we're learning right now in the classes you take, it is all about productivity, increasing your productivity, and enlightenment. It's taking yourself to that next level. It's higher self-actualization. Has anyone ever had experience like that with self-actualization after you've done something that helped you grow?
Absolutely.
Ooh, tell us about that, Lindsay.
The mission class that Terry Garneau taught, that was the most impactful class I have ever taken.
Tell us a little bit about that class, would you?
So we went through and we delved in what our personal mission statements are. It's not just business, it's about what really gets us up in the morning. And I had the pleasure of being across from Carmen Holtman from Puget Sound, and she's my partner. And so I ended up realizing what I really like to do is to ignite curiosity and enthusiasm. And just really drilling down to why I like real estate and why I like all the things I like. It's because I get to ignite curiosity and enthusiasm.
How fabulous is that? And so do you feel like you got higher self-actualization when you did that?
Absolutely.
I love that. That's really what we're looking for in anything that we are pursuing, from education, coaching, growth. Would you guys agree? It really is you expanding your universe and your world. Okay. Next one is remove your limiting beliefs. Oh, is anybody like me and you've got so many limiting beliefs you can't keep count of them? Anybody have limiting beliefs? Yeah. Okay. We all have limiting beliefs, right? You know why? I'm gonna give you the example. Okay. I want you right in front of you to picture a 4-year-old child. 4-year-old. And here's what do we always ask little kids? What do we always ask them? What do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be an astronaut. Oh, that's awesome. You want to be an astronaut. That's great. Love that. Now they grow to 8 years old. Well, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be an astronaut. Yes, you can do that. You just work hard and you can absolutely do that. Great. 12 years old. What do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be an astronaut. Well, you know, there's a lot of hard work to that. You can do that, but there's a lot of hard work. 18 years old. What do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be an astronaut. You need to go get a, fill in the blank for me, guys.
Job.
You can go get a real job, right? Because here's what happens. We end up taking our ceiling, we put it on the little one, right? So we end up placing our own limiting beliefs on and on and on and on and on. I have that voice in my head, and it didn't start out being my voice. It's now my voice really, really well, but it didn't start out being my voice. Anybody have one of those? Yeah, right? So our job is to remove limiting beliefs, such as, I don't have enough time for training. Well, all of you have disproved that. Thank you for being here. I can't be successful in this market. Anybody having those feelings right now? Edgar, were you kind of feeling that way with all the offers you've been writing? Still feeling good. I love it. Okay. I can't devote 3 hours each day to lead generation. Whew, a lot of time, right? A lot of results when you put on that kind of time. Right. When you unlimit your thinking, you unlimit your success. Do you agree with that? I like the shake of the head, Juliet. Tell me why.
All of this is just ringing so true to me because over the weekend, like, I have been experiencing exactly what you're talking about. So like I said, I've been trying to perfect the listing presentation, and I've gone on a million listing presentations, but I've always really struggled with saying the presentation verbatim. I've been scared. And so since Friday, I've just like been in knots trying to figure out how I'm going to do this listing presentation today and just do it verbatim. And so, yeah, I've been just like thinking and reading and listening to videos and really digging deep, to figure out what's limiting me. And it's opened up a lot of doors. I won't go into it, but it's what you're talking about. Exactly.
Wow. Wow. I can see the emotion from you. That's meant something to you. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Has anybody ever had that experience where you removed a limiting belief and all of a sudden you just leaned in and you had success? Mm-hmm. Heather, you are shaking your head big time. Tell us about yours.
Back in 2010, when the economy wasn't doing so well and the real estate world wasn't doing so well, I was a commercial appraiser and I specialized in land development for subdivision development. And all of a sudden my job went away. Well, it started to go away.
Sure.
And before that happened, I started looking outside the box. I'm like, what can I do in a time when everybody's struggling to find work? And I started a business taking care of REO properties, and I became the largest woman-owned contractor in the United States.
Oh, yeah. Outstanding. Outstanding. How did you create, like, obviously it takes a big mindset, right? That's removing limiting beliefs. How did you create that for yourself?
To be honest, I'm not really sure. I feel like it kind of fell in my lap, but I don't say no. I've always been kind of a workaholic, and an offer came and I thought, man, I don't know if I can do this. But I couldn't say no. And so instead of saying no, I said, I'll figure it out. And overnight I had 2,000 properties with no employees. And they said, yeah. So yeah, we ended up growing into about 6 different states, and it just kept growing until it didn't anymore. And then now here I am.
Wow. Okay. So you take no out of your vocabulary and you ask, how can I?
Yeah.
I love that. On fire. And go women power. Man's world. We love that. Awesome. Okay. So this is really victim versus and I'm going to say, and my words are drawing me blank, but victim versus activator. I'm just going to say it that way. But if we look at victim versus accountable, there we go. Make accountability part of your plan. So first of all, on the left-hand side, we have the victim side. On the right-hand side, we have accountable. So number one is doesn't seek reality. There's ignorance, asks no questions. That's a victim. On the right-hand side, so being accountable seeks reality. Awareness is what is the situation? Becoming truly aware of it, asking that question. Number 2, fights reality. That's not the way it is. That's not how I see it. That's your perception. Anybody ever have a conversation with someone like that before? Versus acknowledges reality for clarity. This is the way it is. I got it. I'll see what's going on. On the victim side, on number 3, blames. Ooh, giving people the finger. Not that finger, this finger. It's your fault, your fault, your fault, your fault, your fault, right? If everybody would do their job, it's not my fault, it's yours. The market is to blame, the economy is to blame. Why didn't you do something? Versus owns it. If it's to be, then it's up to me. And I think that's really what Heather was talking about there, right? What do I want? I've got to do something, which is exactly, again, what you did, Heather, right there. And this is my responsibility. On the victim side, personal excuses, deflection. Nobody told me, it's not my job. I did my part. I was never given a chance. It doesn't work here. I did what I was supposed to do. It didn't work. I can't think of anything else to do versus finding solutions. What are my options? How can I get what I want? What can I do? Who can I get answers from? Where can I plug in to get answers? This one is also about being resourceful. Does anybody know the difference between having resources and being resourceful?
I love what Tony Robbins says. He says, you don't lack resources, you lacked resourcefulness.
Tell us more about that, Leanne.
I mean, I think that a lot of people think that they are in a box and that they can't get out of it, and that they feel like, well, this is all I have. And I think that it's because I call it the fly against the window story. So you guys have all seen it. It's a hot summer day. The fly flies in the house and it goes directly to a window and bangs up against it until it dies on the window. And yet there was an open door the entire time. So that's not stopping, looking around and utilizing the resources to fly out the door instead of dying on the window. And so that's what I always visualize.
I love that. I love that so much. Absolutely. Being resourceful. It's amazing how often I talk to agents outside of our organization as well as inside our organization, but specifically outside of our organization, who don't have anywhere to go and they don't know where to look. Do you have a lot of resources here at Keller Williams? You guys have been around a while. Yes, you do, right? Okay. Let's go on over to victim again. Number 5, waits and hopes. Oh, if it was meant to be, it will happen. I always hate that. Let's just wait and see. We've done all we could do. Let's just wait and see. Time will tell. It's out of my hands. The proof is in the pudding. I reject every premise on that one. I say, get on with it. Let's go. Time's up. Let's go. This is what I will do. Okay, let's do it. Let's get on with it. I will go make this happen. I will use my resources. I have the power to do something. I do not have to be a victim. I absolutely can take charge of my destiny. I will go and create what I need to create, and I will find the people who can help me get there. Yes? That's really about mindset. Victim versus accountable. What questions do you have on that so far? Has anybody ever been a victim before besides me? All of us have, right? At some point, we all get in victim mentality. Okay. Anybody today like me, first thing in the morning? I don't know.
I mean, I think we all do every day.
Yeah.
You know, and you almost have to, I think that that's one of the things that was really hard for me when I very first started with KW was that I thought, well, I can never be a victim again. You know, I'm only allowed to talk like this. And so I kind of became a little bit robotic in the very beginning, but then realizing like we all wake up and we're like, what the heck, my alarm didn't go off today. Wait, but what do I have control over right now? I can't control that the alarm didn't go off. So I can't focus on that part of it. But I think that that's what you're saying too, Cole, is like, did you wake up and you're like that? Like, yeah, we all can be. And it's a mindset shift and it becomes a muscle over time. So like what Juliet was saying, who by the way, PS, if you guys have never seen Juliet do a listing presentation, she's one of the best I've ever seen. So she's beating herself up right now. And I would just say this, like, she's like, oh my God, I don't know why I can't do a listing presentation. I'm like, girl, you've been doing this for years, right? And it's a muscle to get yourself back to the part that you can control.
God, I love that. It is a muscle.
Thank you, Leanne.
Love. I feel the love around here. Awesome, guys. It really is a muscle. Mindset is a muscle. Would you guys agree with that? Mindset is something the more and more you practice, the stronger it gets. Yes? Awesome. Okay. So we have choices then to get us out of victim mentality. And this is called the choice map. And I've always loved this model because it basically says the difference between judger mindset and learner mindset. So we can start. And this is a perfect example of the alarm clock. We can even use that. So anything that impacts us at any moment, thoughts, feelings, circumstances, right? I can go to judge your mindset. I can react. I can say, well, whose fault is it? My husband didn't set the alarm. Okay. I was too tired to set the alarm. Okay. I had a busy day. It was all that fault. I can keep going on to judge your mindset with automatic reactions. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with them? Blaming. The judger is automatic reactions, blame focused, win, lose. And pretty soon you're in the judger pit. Why am I such a failure? Why am I stupid? Why bother? Oh my gosh. Has anybody else other than me been in that judger pit before? All of us have, right? Now, if I can build the muscle, like Leanne says, really build the muscle on the learner mindset. It's like, okay, hang on a second. What happened? What do I want for both myself and others? What can I learn? Right? What assumptions am I making? What are the facts? What are they thinking, feeling, or wanting? The other people. Am I being responsible? What's possible? What are my choices? What's best to know? And we can go into the learner mountain where we have thoughtful choices, solutions focused, and win-win relating. And really, we can be going down that judger mindset. And just like Leanne said, I can wake up in victimhood, alarm didn't go off, and I can make a choice. I can keep being reactionary and ruining my day and ruining everybody's day. Or I can say, okay, ask learner questions to avoid the pit and switch. Use that muscle that you've developed and be able to switch to it. Yes? What ahas do you have about that? Or what observations do you have about that model?
Well, catching it sooner and switching your mindset will keep you from going in the pit. You know, it's just really just catching that mindset so you're not going down the wrong road. Yeah. For a whole day.
Yeah, for a whole day, right? Yeah, it's switching up. And whenever you catch yourself, it's okay. By the way, does anybody in this group harder on themselves than anybody else could possibly be? Anybody?
Absolutely.
Whole
Absolutely.
group, right? Everybody's like that, right? Or you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be as successful as you are. You certainly wouldn't be an entrepreneur. Usually you are really hard on yourself. Sometimes it takes also giving yourself grace and forgiveness. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Can we get bogged down in the self-judgment and the self-blame and the self, flagellation? Anybody ever done that before? And it's so hard to get out of it sometimes. Yeah. It's about building that muscle that allows you to give yourself grace. By the way, how many of you have given grace to other people before? Isn't it easier to give grace to other people before ourselves?
All the time.
All the time. Yeah, it's also a learned experience to give yourself grace. That doesn't necessarily mean give yourself an excuse to always let yourself off the hook. There's a difference. It's giving yourself the grace to learn from it, not be devastated by it or not be paralyzed by it. Give yourself grace to move forward and look forward. Does that make sense? Yeah, awesome. So let's talk about the 9 ways a millionaire real estate agent thinks. Now, in your book, you have the 9 ways a millionaire real estate agent thinks. That's the old model. This is from MREA 2. This is the new model, which I absolutely love. Now, do you have to want to be a millionaire to think like a millionaire? Do you have to want to be a $1 million producer in order to think like a $1 million producer? We can actually start adopting these particular habits that take us to next level. So the first one, think powered by a big why. What is a big why? What does that mean?
What pushes you through when, like, if you wake up in the morning, you don't want to lead generate, what is the thing that pulls you through to the other side when you don't want to do something?
Absolutely. So give us an example of that, Leanne.
I've coached to this for a lot of years, and I think a lot of people really struggle with their big why, including me. And, some days my big why is that I've got to help my kids out with something. Some days my big why is about my nonprofit. Some days my big why is about my agents and about helping them to become bigger and better than they were the day before. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I was always taught that, you need to have this one big thing that you're searching for. But I think that if you are a person that's like me and you have a couple, as long as it gets you pulled through, it's still considered a big why, in my opinion. But it's something that just wakes you up, that you feel passionate about. I know a lot of people that I work with will say it's not about the money. And I'm like, bull, first of all, because the world revolves on money. But secondly, then you're just a bad person. And I say that in coaching. I'll go, well, then you're just a bad person. They're like, no, I just don't think the world revolves on money. And I'm like, okay, so you tell me what you're passionate about. And they might say like children that have cancer. And I'm like, so if I gave you $1 million, would you give that to children that had cancer for research? Oh my gosh, of course I would. And I'm like, then why are you being selfish and not making the money when you earn the most in the world, right? We make more than attorneys, more than doctors. So that's a big why.
That is definitely a big why. And I love that example. Thanks for sharing that. That is so perfect. Has anybody else here struggled with your big why? Or maybe not even had an experience where when you looked through that? Have you ever done that? Sometimes we do struggle with our big why. Okay. Now, one of the tools that can really help you with that is twofold. First of all, Lindsay just talked about an incredible course. And maybe, Bill, you and I should talk about bringing it to the region. But it's creating your mission. I did that course as well with Lindsay, and I got to tell you, it was extraordinary. Talk about really identifying your big why. It's an entire exercise in how doing that. So maybe that's something that we can be in. But being powered, and I love the word powered by a big why. It's the thing that gets you out of bed. It's the thing that motivates you forward. It's the thing that gives you momentum. All those things are your big why. Then once you have your big why, then you can set big goals and big models. What are the big goals? I want to help cure childhood cancer. Yeah, I agree with that. That's a big goal or a big model, or maybe it's a big goal for your business that you didn't even think that you could achieve, right? When you have those big goals and big models, you start thinking value, you start thinking customer service, and you start thinking experience. So I've got these big goals, big models. How do I now provide value, customer service, and experience? Now, when I'm thinking about giving that experience, I can start thinking competitively and strategically within my market. Once I'm thinking competitively and strategically, that is going to spur me into action. I become action, and then I also have accountability towards the actions I'm taking. Now, as I am building that out, I'm taking action, I'm becoming more accountable. And then I start thinking talent, systems, and standards. What talent am I bringing in? Am I documenting my systems? Am I using systems? Have I set standards for myself? When I've done that, then I really start thinking knowledge and skills, honing it, sharpening the saw, bringing more and more clarity to what we're doing. After that, then we start saying, okay, I've got that going now. I'm going to keep being persistent. I'm going to keep moving forward. Just like Edgar, I'm going to be resilient. I'm going to move through those things. And finally, when I've got all those things going, profit comes and I can go cure cancer. You see how they all flow into one another? It's interesting when you read them, because a lot of people have always, I think, thought that those were all separate things, but it really is a cycle. Do you see that, guys? So for you, at any given time in your business, this is where we start. We start, is there a big why? If there is a big why, let's talk about your goals. And you see how we start just moving through those things. So as with your coach, with your consultant, perhaps with your team leader, you can absolutely sit down here and figure out where you're at in your business in any given a point along these ways a millionaire real estate agent things. What ahas do you have about that? Observations?
That was the first time I thought of it as a cycle, like as you were saying it, getting to number 9, think profit, and back to the first one. It's like, oh, yep, that makes sense.
There you go. I love it. Anybody else?
Well, I just want to thank Leanne for what she said about money, because to tell you the truth, one of mine, I was going, gosh, a big why. I want to make money, just to have a big bank account. Is there anything wrong with that?
No.
And so, but it seems like periodically I need to do something like the cure cancer or whatever. But yeah, it's nice to know that I can make money and feel good about it.
And you know what, I'll just say this, because Cole, I know she's so freaking good at all this stuff, but this is the one thing that I'll share with you guys. 10 years of being at KW is that I went to go create my big why all the time. And I'm serious. Like sometimes I just don't even know why. And I can't even get up and I'm like, ugh, I just feel tired. I don't want to do that part. I don't want to do lead gen. Like Cole said, your phone's so heavy. But this last year, a family member of mine got cancer, and you hear these stories of like, you should save it up or you should make the money just in case or whatever, but you really don't understand until it actually hits you. And then when it hits you, you realize that you worked your butt off, you did all the lead generation, and it still wasn't enough money. And that's why it's so critical, and why I'm going to this class with Cole is because after 10 years, I was hit right between the eyes with my kid's dad having cancer, and we don't have enough money to make it all go away. You can't even believe, I mean, those hospital bills were over $1 million last year. Yeah. And so you got to know why you wake up every day, even if it's imaginary in your mind, and you have to create your own, like, this could happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, Leanne, thank you so much for being so vulnerable and sharing that with us. We really do appreciate that. And I honor what you and your family are going through. That's for sure. And I think that's a great example. Life happens, right? So many of us live GCI to GCI, right? Without having a great plan in place. I know one of the things that our offices are going to be really focused on this year is wealth building. and understanding money. Is anybody listening to the Think Like a CEO podcast from Gary Keller? Anybody listening to those right now? Man, this season is so good. It's all about wealth building. Here's what I'm going to tell you to do. Download that podcast. Start with season 1 and listen all the way through. There's such good stuff. But the wealth building piece is outstanding this year. So take a look at that one. Okay. So I want to show you guys the Marty Miller 66-day challenge. Does anybody know what I'm talking about when I say that? The Marty Miller 66-day challenge? Okay, you do, Lindsay. I know you do. Okay, I'm going to go to YouTube. Marty Miller is one of the, actually probably is the preeminent regional tech trainers we have in the whole company. And he created something called the 66-day challenge. And I'm simply going to go do a search for Marty Miller. Okay. And here's Marty right here. Nice suit, blue tie. Just going to click on Marty. And then we go to his playlists. And I am looking for the command 66-day challenge 4.0. So did everybody see where I got there? I simply did a search for Marty Miller, found him, looked at his playlists, and I found the command 66-day challenge. I'm going to click on that. And the very first thing, it goes number 0, and it works all the way for 66 days. I don't believe there's anything longer than 20 minutes long. Most of them are about 10 minutes long of these videos. And what it does is each day you watch one and you go do what it is on command. How many of you guys would like to learn command much better? Anybody in here? Yeah, quite a few of us, right? This is brilliant. He does a beautiful job at teaching you command here. Now, this is especially powerful if you are also working with your market center tech trainer to deepen your knowledge if there's something in here that doesn't quite make sense. That does happen for some people who are really, really new. You might need a little extra hand holding on stuff, but the most part, he does a wonderful job in the 66-day challenge. Okay, I encourage all of you to start that today. Even if you think you know command, do you think there might be something in here that you would learn and take away if you spent some time with the 66-day challenge? Okay. How many of you can commit to 10 minutes a day for the next 66 days? Awesome. How many of you can commit to 20 minutes 1 or 2 days a week when it's a little bit longer video?
I can.
You can, right? You really can.
Yep,
right?
absolutely.
So this is going to start being part of your homework. I'd like for you guys to really go in and start doing the 66-day challenge. I promise you at the end of this, you're going to be so happy with yourself that you did it.
Question, this is 4.0. Are 1.0 through 3.0 still good?
Nope.
No?
They're
Okay.
obsolete. Yeah. Which is fascinating because what he does, as soon as he gets through the 66th day, he goes and rewrites. Does anybody think that command is going to change?
Mhm.
Does anybody think command is never going to stop changing? It's just like your phone. Did anybody get an update on your phone recently? I know I did. I got apps all the time that are doing that, right? So this is really all about constantly updating, growing, learning, all those fun things. We've got some wonderful things. Nice thing right now, they're stabilizing command. So some of you guys who've been in with us for a while, they're going, ooh, there's some things that we need to work on. That's absolutely what they're doing, is focusing on that right now. Okay, what do you think about a plan like that, guys? 66-day challenge. What do you think? Got it? Okay, YouTube, Marty Miller. Find his playlists, 66-day challenge, save that playlist. Okay. All right, here is your homework for this week. Wow, we went fast today. Homework for this week, pages 97 through 132. Now, here's my question for you. How many of you guys read pages 1 through 97? Be honest. Ooh, quite a few. I love it. I love it. All right, now here's my question. If you did not read it, is it time blocked in your calendar? Ah, Here's a little tidbit I'm going to give you. Do y'all know you've got a boss? Does everybody know you have a boss? Y'all do, right? Who's your boss?
Our calendar.
Who said it? Ashley, what is it?
Our calendar.
Your calendar is your boss. You need to have a strict boss. Okay? Have a strict boss. Time block things and absolutely stick to your time block. So I don't call my calendar. My calendar, I say, okay, I got to go talk to the boss. Make it that. Okay. So
I always say that Google is telling me what to do.
Google's telling me what to do now. I have to go do it because it says
Yep.
right in that Google Calendar. Absolutely, guys. Okay. So we're going to go through, yes, there absolutely is, Kelly. We do have recordings of that. Goldie will be getting those out to everybody. You all should, and if you haven't yet, I'll make sure that Goldie sends it to you. You all should have received a link to the recordings from our class. You can always go back and rewatch things that you wanted to learn more about. It's always in there. Okay. So we'll make sure that gets out to everybody. We did record last week's class. We're recording this week's class. Okay. So let's take some ahas. What were some of the big takeaways you had? And then what's one action item along with that you're going to take this week based on what you learned? Leanne.
I just wanted to piggyback on your calendar conversation, and then I'll tell you my aha. Calendar conversation, I heard from someone recently that said, when people are asking you to get on your calendar and you wake up and you check your voicemails or you check your calendar before you get out of bed, that's everybody else dictating your day instead of you dictating your day. So what Cole's saying about your calendar, like that hit me really hard because I allow people to dictate my day. And then they're all over my calendar instead of me saying, these are the standards that I have for myself to achieve my financial goals. And I've gotten out of time blocking fiercely for myself after a while. And then the second thing is that the Think Like a CEO podcast has been mentioned to me 100 times. And I finally just put it on my calendar because I have an appointment with myself that day to think like a CEO and really think about wealth building at a much higher level. And so I had to make an appointment with myself. So thank you for that, Cole.
I love it. By the way, Leanne, I got to tell you guys, it's incredible to have a Keller Williams top team leader being in our class. Do you think she's learning based? Do you think she is absolutely a leader showing up and being an example for everybody? I think.
Or I'm just dense and I have to go through it 10,000 times.
Either one. I'm good either way. I think we're okay. That's great. All right, let's take a couple more ahas.
I realized that I need to be better at asking myself the questions that I would ask other people that I'm helping hold able. So
I love that. I love that. Yeah. So as a coach, can you also ask yourself those same questions? Sure.
mhm.
I love it. Who else?
It just reminded me that when you start looking at that big why, all that programming starts to show up too. When you're struggling to come up with it, why is that? What do I need to change about my mindset to set those kind of goals? So
Absolutely. Absolutely. So can I tell you guys about my friend, Matt Fedek? I'll tell you about Matt. So Matt, 13 years ago, was a beat cop in Philly, writing tickets, right? And he got to the point where he was so sick of his life, he couldn't stand it. And so he decided to go into real estate. And his first year, he absolutely sucked at it. Awful. And his wife gave him a talking to. And he had to get better or he was going to have to go back into being a cop. So he started really leaning in, studying and learning like crazy. And within 3 years, he was the #1 producing agent in his Keller Williams office in Philadelphia. Now I'm going to fast forward to 5 years ago. 5 years ago, Matt has a team. Okay. He's got a team of 5. He has an expansion team in 5 different states. He does right around 1,900 transactions a year. And he decided to do something really big. Now, just to give you some perspective here, every office is part of a region that is owned. Every region is a part of Keller Williams, okay? He decided, along with Ben Kinney, to buy the region for the UK. The man bought a country. Now, that year, 5 years ago, he had his one of his really good friends, cop friends, invite him and his wife and a whole bunch of other people over for Thanksgiving that year. And all the guys were sitting back on the patio afterwards, and they're drinking beers and putting them back. And one of the guys says, "You know what? You are all about the money, man. All you want to do is make money." And he goes, "Well, what's so wrong with that? I mean, what's wrong with making money?" And he said, "It's just about money, man. I mean, why do you need all that money? You don't need all that money." And he says, "You know what?" He said, "One of my best friends in the world this year got brain cancer, and she has 2 kids in college. I paid off her kids' college, put the trust fund together. I paid off her house, and I've paid off all of her medical bills. Is that enough money?" It was a wonderful question. Just a regular guy. He just looks as normal, and you wouldn't be able to pick him out of a crowd. He's got a little paunch, missing his hair, right? Great guy. But he decided to create something better, and he decided to really lean in and learn. And there's nothing greater about him than any of you guys, other than the fact that he started really getting in touch with his big why and started removing his limiting beliefs and started asking, how can I? Just like Heather. Great example of that. Okay. Okay, guys. So take some action. 66-day challenge. Do your reading. We are going to get into the numbers next week. Like I said, we're going to do something called the economic model. And it does take a lot of mind power. So be well rested, well fed, ready with your calculator. Got it? Okay, everybody, have a phenomenal rest of your day. I'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.